Hi there, Matthew Johnson here for Rally America at the Oregon Trail Rally. Oregon Trail Rally is the third round in the 2012 championship. We are at the first stage of day 3 in the high desert region, expecting to see David Higgins in the Subaru factory car headed this way any moment. We understand there's a helicopter support crew, actually a camera crew helicopter following David today, and maybe some other cars as well, so that's going to add some excitement. This high desert region really adds itself to have photography from the sky, so it's going to look really, really cool whenever that comes out. We're in the middle of the Cascade Mountains. We can see Mount Hood off in one direction, Mount Rainier in another, and potentially Mount Baker as well. It's a really, really beautiful region of the country if you've never been here before. Part of the story for the open class in the 2012 championship took a big drastic turn yesterday. Antoine Lestage was in the fight to come back and potentially challenge for the 2012 championship until the car let him down yesterday. He had some engine trouble. Things didn't work out the way they planned, and now he is running today just to work out some problems with his car so that he's ready for a Canadian event in a couple weeks. We see the chopper headed our way. We can hear the chopper. We're going to add a couple things to the show here today. I have a radar gun. If anybody knows much about radar guns, thank you Oregon Rally Group, by the way. If you know much about radar guns, you know the handheld ones that take batteries are sometimes not as accurate as a big formal one with a huge battery. We're going to see if this helps tell the story. We're also going to be doing interval times to measure exactly what time each car comes by so we can help tell the story about who's going faster than who else. We'll step right out of the way here and we'll see David on the way in a big hurry. Oh. Radar gun tells me 88 miles an hour on the exit of that corner. Probably one of the higher speeds we're going to see here. I think he was going a fair bit faster back there before I could get the gun to read, so we'll see. That is middle of a left 6. Probably not a left 6 plus. That's a left 6 worth having to slow down a little bit for from top speed. It's going to be interesting also to see if David feels like going first on the road hurt him anywhere today. Some of the stages that we drove during recce had quite a bit of loose stones on top of the road. When you're first car, you get the advantage of not running in dust, which for Ken Block at 100 Acre Wood was a really big deal. Here out at Oregon, there's a lot of wind, high desert region. The dust is probably going to move out of the way, so that may not be such an advantage. Could potentially be a disadvantage because now he's the one that has to sweep the road. So all the loose rocks on the road will be mostly swept away by David. He's also the one that ends up putting down the first braking marks on the road. That helps the next couple cars back know if they see David's lines going wide on corner exits, they'll know that they could brake a little bit earlier than that and have a nicer exit and a shorter time through the corner. Just little things drivers are looking for. Or you'll put your tires directly in those same braking marks and know you're going to be able to slow your car down faster, so you go a couple feet, 5-10 feet deeper into the braking zone than you normally would, just because you know you've got that extra grip where he's already swept away the loose rocks. I believe we'll have a 2-minute window for the first 3 cars, and then after that will be 1-minute windows as they come by. I've lost where I should be standing. Is this good for your zoom spot?
That'll work.
All right, here we go. Antoine Lestage? No, it's not. It's Crazy Leo. That car really stands out. Like I mentioned, I don't know how much we can trust the results we get from our radar gun. That time I got 72 miles an hour. I got 88 for David. It didn't look like a 14 mile an hour, 16 mile an hour difference to me. Is my math correct? Yeah, 16 miles an hour difference. It didn't look like that big of a difference to me. It may have been, we'll see. Helicopter for pass number 2. They're headed our way. Antoine Lestage. Corner exit there for Antoine's speed was 71 miles an hour. If Leo's was 72, that could be accurate. It could be that I got a bad reading on David Higgins when he came through. Or it could be that he really is going 16 miles an hour faster on this particular corner this morning. He ate his Wheaties. He did tell us he was swimming in his heated pool and went for a nice jog and a run. These are all things that drivers really dream of as features of driving for a factory team, that you could relax like that and stay on top of your training and be getting mentally focused for the event instead of worrying about the small details of running a rally. The truth is that's a kind of rare occurrence, and most of us have to juggle many different balls at the same time to be out here competing. Maybe I got the helicopter with the radar gun the first time instead of David. Can't tell if that's Carl Decker or Adam Yeoman. It's Adam Yeoman. Didn't get a speed on Adam Yeoman. We've got Lisa here. She's our regional rally correspondent and other host or helper. What did you find on these interval times? Step on in here and let us see what we got.
Well, so far, Higgins came in 42.02.
2 minutes later, as expected. Crazy Leo came in 12 seconds slower. So by this point in the stage, halfway through the stage, Crazy Leo's already lost 12 seconds to David. Lestage as an 02. Antoine and David, however, were tied at this point. And Adam Yeoman at 20, so he's 18 seconds down on Higgins and Lestage's pace. This is great. This helps us tell a story for sure. Keep up the good work. Yeah, with your alignment there. Here's Carl Decker and the giant Subaru Impreza. Like I said yesterday, Carl Decker's car also turbocharged all-wheel drive Subaru, but it's an older chassis. For a while in the mid-2000s, I don't know, 2006, 2009 era, a lot of people were considering that GC8 chassis because it was a few hundred pounds lighter than the newer four-door chassis. So we saw several older cars get built at the time. Matt Aureo was famous with his black and white Evos that he brought out, were zebra stripe colors, or zebra stripe designs. But that car, I think he got it down to maybe 2,700 pounds, 2,750 or so, maybe even lighter than that. And that's a significant achievement if you can pull a few hundred pounds out of your car compared to the next guy's. Here's Rick Song on his way. Okay, so I'm definitely positive that I'm terrible at using a radar gun. So I got Rick it might have been a good reading on Rick. It was 93 miles an hour. But again, he didn't look actually to what you see that significantly faster than the rest. So we'll see if I can learn how to use this thing and provide any value with it. What was Rick's time, seconds?
48.19.
19, okay. He's going a little bit faster than Carl. And what was Carl's?
47.23.
Okay, he was through here on second number 23. That's right in the same region that Adam Yeoman was. Carl Decker and Adam Yeoman will probably have a good run today. And then Rick Song a couple of seconds ahead of them. They've all got their own kind of competition there. Big margin away from the front three guys. Mark Fox, Krista Skoukas. Hopefully they'll have a nice rally today. Mark doesn't get to do a lot of events. I know it was pretty heartbreaking yesterday for early on for them to lose a turbo and have to be out of the event. I'm glad to see them restarted in the regional today. That car sounds great. Should be wheel orders next. It is. Here we go. He's not in a hurry at all, is he? So Will Orders there was setting, I think he set one top 3 stage time at the end of the day yesterday. He's going to set several top 5 stage times today, I'm positive. His car, it's a turbocharged Group 5 rear-wheel drive Nissan Silvia S13. It's got around 400 horsepower. And what's interesting to know about the engine in that is they don't have to have a restrictor. We don't call it a restrictor plate in rallying. It's actually a circular restrictor, almost like a plug instead of a plate. When you think about carbs and NASCAR racing, restrictor plates lay on top of a carburetor. We don't play that game so much. We actually put it in the air inlet of the turbo to restrict the amount of air that goes into the turbo. For open class cars, that size is 34 millimeter. The standard turbo size is 50 millimeter. So it's a significant change. ACP and Jeremy Wimpy chasing Will Orders. Catching ACP and Jeremy there on the corner exit where I was catching a lot of the other front guys there in the mid 70-mile-an-hour region. That's just as fast as the all-wheel drive cars. What's nice about a two-wheel drive car is it can be built lighter weight, and like I was saying, there's not a restrictor requirement for a Group 5 or two-wheel drive turbocharged car. So Will Orders' car and ACP's car technically could come out here and make a lot more horsepower than the factory team of the Subaru of David Higgins. Now the downside of that is with only 2 tires trying to put all that power out, it just doesn't work. You really don't want a lot of tire spin at 80, 90, 100 miles an hour. This will be David Sterks and Karen Jankowski currently leading the super production class with a 40-second margin over Dave Henderson. Sorry, there's a big bug crawling around under me there. They were around the same speed at corner exit, maybe a couple mile-an-hour slower than the two-wheel drive cars at corner exit. Honestly, I think David's probably going to play it really cool today. Like I said, he has a lot of tarmac experience. Some of the dirt out here today could get down to so much grip that we start to see like a blue groove develop, where there's enough rubber off the rally tires in different braking zones and sliding around corners that the gravel's completely washed away and it starts to turn dark and bluish. They call it a blue groove in motorcycling, but you get enough rubber on the road where it actually starts turning dark, and there's a ton of grip when that happens. I'm not sure if there's enough moisture out here for that to happen, but we'll see. This is Dave Henderson. He's got a wobble, a shake. No, I'm lying to you. It's not Dave Henderson. It's Hardy Schmidtke. He was moving out pretty good. He had really good speed as far as I could tell. It looked like 80 miles an hour mid-corner where I got him. What I'm seeing is that I don't have a lot of accuracy with this radar gun. I'm going to put it away, honestly.
17 and then 20.
So 11 seconds between Orders and ACP.
Wow. Was it 17?
Yeah.
Okay.
17.
Thank you. So looking at our split times, Will Orders came by on second number 17 in his minute. ACP came by on 28 seconds. So there's an 11-second difference already here on this stage. Now the rest of the story about ACP, if you didn't catch the interview earlier in Expose, the end of the day yesterday he lost his brakes. It was having to pump his brakes. They've just made some braking changes to ACP's car. I'll let these guys go by. There we saw Dave Henderson in hot pursuit of David Sterks. He's got a 40-second gap he's got to make up. As long as David Sterks keeps status quo, keeps driving quickly but not taking any risk, he'll probably be able to maintain that gap. Dave Henderson that just went by, like I was saying, has some wobbly bits in the back of his car. He doesn't know what it's coming from, but there's a vibration and a noise that he hasn't solved yet. He's kind of worried that something's going to let go and he may not finish the rally today. And that could be a scary event if something lets go or locks up at the high speeds we see today.
Henderson's up 1 second so far on Sterks on this stage.
Okay, awesome. There's a 1-second gap. So out of those 40 seconds, Dave Henderson has taken 1 of those seconds back here on the first stage halfway through. David Sterks can afford to drive really reliably, and he can give up a couple of seconds here and there and really maintain his lead. Psychologically, though, it's not always effective for a driver to have to deal with the fact that they're getting beat a little bit on stage by stage. You never want to really be in that position. So Fast Eddie's on his way to us. He will definitely be at his top speed. Fast Eddie will definitely be at his top speed on some of the stages, the fast straight stages today. I want to finish telling the story about ACP in this fight with Will Orders. So Will Orders is already up 11 seconds here halfway through this first stage. He came into the morning with a 19-second lead because of some braking trouble that ACP had at the end of the day yesterday. Through Vermont Sports Car and David Higgins and then CanJam Motorsports and Crazy Leo, they've given some parts to ACP to rebuild part of his braking system. It's the other Australian car. Ross Allen coming by showing us what he's made of as well. Whew. So the wind changed directions a little bit. Now we get to eat a lot of this dust. Ross Allen, to me, looked like he's taking it a little conservatively there. It could be an alignment issue that he's not comfortable in the car. Yesterday, he definitely looked very comfortable in the car to me. He could have gotten a little bit of a loose spot and spooked himself with these high speeds earlier. So we'll see what he looks like this afternoon. But right now, what I saw was a little bit of a tentative style of driving compared to what we saw yesterday for Ross Allen. So back to ACP really quick. He's trying to rebuild his brake system. They've just installed a new master cylinder of a different diameter in the Park Expose this morning. He doesn't have experience of the brake pedal pressure that it's going to take to get the car to work properly. Here's Chris and Lori O'Driscoll. They're third place in super production currently. They're a few minutes back into third place. There's not a likely chance that Chris and Lori, another husband and wife team, there's not a likely chance that they're going to be able to catch up and get themselves any higher on the podium in super production. But they're probably pretty pleased with the third place finish in super production in the national championship. That is quite an achievement. They've been driving great all weekend. It's funny how hard of a time I'm having telling the story about ACP because cars keep coming. So ACP's brakes actually absolutely feel very different to him as a driver inside the car. Hopefully they feel some way that inspires some confidence. Yesterday his brake pedal went to the floor several times and he had to pump the brakes to try to get some pressure under the brake pedal. They replaced the master cylinder. They're hoping that's all fixed, but it's going to be a different car to get used to, and that's likely part of the story of the gap. Doug Herredo's coming by. Doug did a very nice thing yesterday for Lachlan O'Sullivan. You could see Doug's having a blast going really fast out here on the stages. He stopped on stage while being timed on a race stage and hooked up to Lachlan O'Sullivan and pulled him the last 3 or 4 miles of the last stage of the day yesterday. Turns out Lachlan's got engine issues and some braking issues, and he's not going to be with us competing today. So he's officially dropped out of the chase to get himself back on the podium and get some valuable points for super production. The point system works such that Lachlan will get 2 or 3 points for being here and competing in the first place, and that will give him a leg up over Travis Hansen, a small leg up over Travis Hansen, but by no means is his work done. He's got a lot of work to do to stay in that SP fight for the championship this year. Here's Mason Moyle. Entering the corner just as hot as most of the other folks we're seeing. I am very happy to report it's much warmer out here today than the first couple days of the event. The wind is not blowing, which is not great for the dust, but it's not freezing us the way it has been the last couple days, so I'm pleased about that. Like we said, we're out in the Cascade Mountain region in the northwest U.S. It's beautiful out here. There's snow still falling on some of the higher up stages we were on yesterday, Fir Mountain and Ketchum. Could have a cold night and have a bit of snowfall. Could do. Actually, snow's all melting today because it's nice and warm. Hopefully we see 70 degrees or so. Okay, let's see who we got next. That was Mason Moyle. Dave Hintz. It should be Dave and Rick Hintz. It's not. It's Jamie. Jamie Thomas. Driving her production GT 5-speed WRX wagon. She's got enough time to blow the horn at us and wave as she goes by, and that is proper Jamie Thomas fashion. That's always appreciated by the fans. I love Jamie's steering wheel. It actually gives me an idea about the steering wheel because you can see the steering wheel is like, I don't know if it's what kind of wheel it is, but it's yellow and black. So as she's moving the wheel back and forth, it's really easy to see the steering input she's making to the car as she comes by. She was definitely doing a little bit of work through this corner. See if we got a few questions from some friends and fans here. This is Dave and Rick Hintz in their M3. Yeah! I love the sound of that car. Seriously, on my personal agenda, there are a couple cars in this rally I really want to drive. I mean, obviously Will Order's Australian car and all that would be really cool to drive. But a couple of the regional guys, it's on my mind to try to work out some kind of rental agreement, come up here and drive a regional rally in something like a BMW or one of Garth Saab's would be a ton of fun. Like I was telling you at the end of the day yesterday, actually Garth should be coming by in a little while. Shouldn't be too far back. Dylan Van Way is listed. If anybody's at home looking at their entry list, Dylan Van Way is listed and he should be on stage next. They are basically out of axles and out of parts. They believe the differential in the gearbox is what went bad and was causing the axles to break. The differential's properly worn out at this point and the car is not functioning. So Dylan's done. He's not going to be out on the stages today. That means we see Kevin Cardos. Is that in number 500 Open Lights car? This is a great formula for new rallyists. You do not have to have a lot of speed factor experience to be able to come here in a car like that. It's all-wheel drive, so you get to be driving an all-wheel drive car, getting experience on how to set up and handle an all-wheel drive car, but it's only 160 to 180 horsepower. So you're not in something so fast that it's wearing out parts faster. So the Open Lights class, I'm a big fan of. Those guys, I mean, they're running pretty far up the order. They're in the top 20 or so here at the beginning of the day on Sunday, day 3 of Oregon Trail Rally. There's 6 rounds to the 2012 Rally America Championship. After this event, we'll be halfway through. We'll have a pretty good picture of who's serious about trying to win their class for 2012. Marcus Hoffert, Acura Integra. You can hear some VTEC action here. That car looks like a lot of fun to drive as well. What kind of interval time do we have on those guys? Okay. Let's get Lisa up here and see if we can tell some stories about what times we've got.
Well, since we last checked in up here
with Will and ACP, and then we had Henderson and Sterix. Henderson had taken a second back, 1 second. Then Fast Eddie came by on a 41. How did Fast Eddie in a 2-wheel drive car compare to these guys? These guys were only 3 seconds off. It appears these guys are only 3 seconds off Fast Eddie's time this far through the stage in an older Integra, or Fast Eddie's in an R2 developed Ford Fiesta. This looks like Brian Gottlieb on the way. No, it's not. It's Cody Crane. Cool. Get Cody's time.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's happy to see Cody Crane. He's a Northwest favorite.
See how Eddie compared to the 2-wheel drive guys.
We will do, for sure. Let's get those numbers back over here when you have a chance. We've got like the perfect spot for Lisa to stand to make sure she gets an accurate judgment.
Came in at 45.
45, so he's a second off the yellow Integra that just went by. I think he's more than more than a small amount of horsepower down on that Acura as well. His car might be a little bit lighter weight, and that's a nice feature to have, but when you're on these super fast long straights, you really need the horsepower to be able to put the power down. One other thing we'll see kind of come forth in the stage times today, when you get on these really fast stages, you don't see as big of a gap between the equipment of the cars. If a driver is very daring and willing to go through 5s and 5+ without braking much and really hang it out there, you could have a slower car with less equipment keeping up with some cars that should be just flat out outrunning it. You can do that on, I don't know, reasonably good tires, but they don't have to be new tires. Here's Garth coming up right now. Speaking of, probably running on some used tires. He will definitely, I gotta say, Garth is gonna be having less fun today, in my opinion, on these faster stages. As you can hear, the older Saab's a 4-speed. I don't know how much power it's got, maybe 120, 130 horsepower. Did he tell us that yesterday? It's a brand new built engine, and it's hot for an old Saab 96, but he's just gonna be flat out in 4th gear as fast as the car will go a lot of times today. That's probably on only around 100, 105 miles an hour at times. Maybe only 95. We'll check in with him about that. That's one of the cars I'd love to drive though. And in fact, we've got another car up already. It's the turbocharged RX-7 of Jared Swalwell. Jared Swalwell. 87 Mazda RX-7 turbo. They called that the Turbo 2. I'm not sure why. It's not actually a twin turbo. Man, it smells good, doesn't it? What is he running in there? The last time I smelled that kind of smell from fuel was in England when the Formula 2 cars were running in like 1997 or so. That was a very familiar smell over there. Could be some hot mix for a rotary engine. Rotary engines have different needs from a normal piston engine, and often you mix oil into the gas itself for the engine to be properly lubricated inside. So that's probably what we're smelling from that car. Maybe we'll check in with him later and find out. Next up is going to be Daniel Rockroar. He is in the production Subaru Impreza. This is a significant achievement in my opinion. He's in the top 30 cars. He was really zooming yesterday, but I can't stress enough, it's a production front-wheel drive Subaru. And here in the fast stuff, you can tell finally. I gotta say, I think his day was gonna work out better if it was slower, twistier stuff. When you get into the slower, twistier stages, having those brand new tires on all the time and having the really short ratio gearbox and having all those nice different features, really strong and aggressive brakes, all those things really start to pay off when you're changing speed a lot and accelerating out of corners a lot in really tight stuff. When you can just go out and hold the hammer down, you can get to your top speed and just maintain it. Steve Kelly Greer found out a story yesterday from these guys. I didn't know they had to go rebuild their engine Friday night. Yes, rebuild their engine. Actually, maybe not the short block, but they had to do new head gaskets after the event Friday night. They had to go home. Luckily, they had a crew guy that was so generous that he spent a lot of his night rebuilding that engine. I think he got to bed 5 o'clock in the morning and they were up at 6 driving the car around. It got him all the way through Saturday, and here he is having some fun on Sunday. That's a father-daughter team sharing the same last name. Were you telling me about time? Okay. This should be Brian Gottlieb, the Dirty Drifters team. Before we sign off, we're going to get Lisa back in here, talk about some of these regional guys and what their split times were back here. We'll do a quick sign off and go get this footage cranking. Nice. Glad to see Brian driving today. The car kind of came apart on him yesterday. He's in a whole new event today in the regional and looks to be right in the competition. Lisa, come on in here with these split times and let's see what we got. All right, what did Brian just come by at? 45 seconds. So that's 3 seconds faster than Stephen Kelly Greer. This is another example. He's in a two-wheel drive car, but it's lighter weight. He can carry more speed around the corners given the same amount of grip in the corner, and he doesn't need the all-wheel drive grip to accelerate out. So I could see that. He's 3 seconds up on Stephen Kelly.
Yesterday he was saying they were having all kinds of problems with everything breaking. The hood pins came loose, the hood was flapping around, the hub broke off, so looks like they're doing all right now.
It's no news that Hondas are not always the best rally car because they're just simply not built like super robust to deal with a lot of the abuse. So on the rougher stages, you see a lot of the Hondas suffering for sure. Okay, so Brian had a rough day yesterday. He's back in the fight. He's ahead of Steve Greer a bit. Daniel Rockroar's a little off the pace there, but he's the one in the P class Impreza. Definitely you could see him in there kind of hoping the car will go a little faster. Swalwell
struggling a little bit too there.
Yeah, Garth for sure. You could hear he's got time to take a nap in there. He's 5 seconds off Rockroar's production Subaru as well. Cody was at a 45. How did that compare to Brian? They're right in the same place. So Brian Gottlieb and Cody Crane are going to have an awesome race together today. And these guys in the Integra, 1 second up. Who were the guys in the Integra? Sorry, I want to make sure I get this right.
Hoffert. Marcus Hoffert?
Yep, Marcus Hoffert in the Acura Integra right there. They're going to have an awesome fight in the regional today. Okay, so we're going to close this up from stage 12. All right. Nate Foley there, zooming by. I don't know if you got a time on him, did you?
11:53.
So he's a little bit off Stephen Kelly?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Matthew Johnson here, signing off from the first stage of Day 3 Oregon Trail Rally. We've been out on one of the higher speed corners that we're going to bring to you today. We're going to zoom out of here, get back to service, and see what stories there are to tell there. We're paying a lot of attention to the super production battle that's going on right now and the two-wheel drive battle right now. ACP is getting a gap put on him by Will Orders currently in the two-wheel drive field. That's kind of coming at an inconvenient time since he's having some braking difficulties. He may be able to make that up, and if Will Orders puts a wheel wrong, gets a flat or something like that, it's going to give ACP an advantage. That's going to be a great fight to watch the rest of the day. Like I said, Matthew Johnson here, signing off from Stage 12. We'll see you in service.